the furniture to me was like the best part.
I did like the furniture.
The whole time with the furniture, just like every Cogsworth. Cogsworth.
Yeah, like the cogs in a machine, you know?
Lumiere, Mrs. Pot, not so much Chip.
Mrs. Potts.
Mrs. Potts. Chip.
Mrs. Pot is a different character.
Kind of annoying. Welcome back to Clued and Clueless.
Stupid.
Yeah, I think I'm clueless again, right?
You are clueless again.
I'm not. Oh, wait. My name is also Mario. Clueless Mario.
Clueless Mario. Clued Kristen right over here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us again. Thanks for coming back. Totally go and follow us on Twitter, which is at Clued_Clueless. Follow us on Instagram, which is Clued and Clueless Podcast. And you can follow us on YouTube, which is also Clued and Clueless. So, Kristen, since you're clued in, what movie are we going to be watching today?
Well, let's take a second. How's your week been?
It's been good.
Yeah?
It's been chill. Been, yeah.
Yeah?
It's
nothing
chill.
too crazy?
Nothing too crazy.
Nothing too wild. That's good.
You know what? Since we're having a little, how's your week been and all that, your week's been crazy, but we'll talk about that in a second.
The last couple weeks have been crazy. This week hasn't been that bad. The last couple weeks were rough.
But you know what's crazy? Is that we became friends 2 days ago. It's crazy.
Well, friends is kind of a strong...
It's strong.
I don't think that I'm comfortable using that that word yet. But I did meet you 2 days ago, yeah.
We met 2 days ago. It's crazy. We filmed all these episodes in 2 days.
We filmed all these episodes. We churned them out for y'all. We somehow published them earlier in the timeline.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't get it.
I don't know. Okay.
But how's your week been?
Week's been good. I went to Dallas this past weekend, and that was super cool. I went to a couple museums. I went to the Perot Museum of Natural Sciences, and they had an exhibit on the science behind Pixar. And that was so cool. I've got pictures. I took a picture of me and Sully and Mike Wazowski from Monsters, Inc., the one where they go to college. Yeah. And I had my backpack with me, so it's like me with my little backpack.
When don't you have your backpack with you?
Listen, backpacks are so convenient. Okay, backpacks are so convenient. I like them so much better than purses. Purses are a little bulky. They're kind of off to your side. They're just always annoying. But a backpack, I can take this anywhere. And I can fit so much in it so easily. I'm just saying, catch me still with my backpack in my 40s. Bag,
seriously, huh? Just get a bigger bag.
No, I have a big bag, but then it's bulky.
But then you have a whatchamacallit?
A fanny pack?
Yeah, get a fanny pack.
I have fanny packs, but you can't fit a laptop in a fanny pack.
You can fit a laptop in a bag.
In a backpack?
No. You're the backpack queen, so I'm not gonna fight you with it.
Anyway, yeah. All right, so here we are now, and we are recording.
We do be recording.
We do be recording. So we're recording a little late. So I know you said that you didn't want to watch Les Mis.
Yeah.
Which is fine. We're not going to be watching.
One day,
Yeah, we're not gonna watch Les Mis. But let me ask you though, how do you feel about musicals?
No. I mean, I think they're cool. Actually, I can't say that too much. There are some good ones, okay?
Okay.
But, I've always had this issue with musicals. Certain musicals, right?
Okay.
Where...
What's your beef with musicals?
They're constantly singing. I like when there's, acting going on, right?
Okay, yeah. And there's a sliding scale. Because there are musicals that, aren't quite operas yet, but you get something like Les Mis where it's not an opera, but there is very, very few spoken lines.
And so, that's when I start falling into the realm of, I don't really like
That's
this.
Fair.
Because they just keep singing. And
okay.
I'm like, can I just...
What about, Disney? What do you like Disney films with, that have singing involved? You know what I mean?
So, I hope this is just a Disney movie. Because if it's
As opposed to what?
What is this? There's this one movie that a friend of ours keeps talking about. Into the Woods. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Oh, who keeps talking about Into the Woods? Jazz?
Jasmine. A different friend. I guess
okay.
You know Jasmine. But they've watched Into the Woods recently. They keep saying that we should all watch it together. And I'm like, I don't want to watch that.
I was in Into the Woods when I was in 5th grade. I was in Into the Woods Junior. I played the witch.
I've never seen it, so.
Well, all you know is
I
played a witch.
I didn't even know there was a witch. Today I'm learning there was a witch.
I played a witch, and they gave me a mask to put over my face, but they couldn't hear me anymore because it was covering my mouth. So they cut just below my nose. They cut that off, and so the mask was only on like my nose and my eyes, and my mouth was like my regular mouth. It looked ridiculous.
They just paint your face.
Listen, I went to a small private Catholic school. Okay, we did not. Yeah, it does. It means we had no funding. We had zero funding. This was part of not the theater program, but the quote unquote enrichment program. Okay, we did Jungle Book the year before, and our set for that was literally just like pieces. It was a bunch of green plastic that they had cut and like hung from a pipe. That was our entire set. That was it.
You know. Better than most sets, I would say.
I disagree. Anyway, so how do you feel about Disney movies?
I like Disney movies.
Yeah?
You know? I'm a big 90s, 80s Disney fan.
Okay, good.
I feel like I know what we're watching now.
What are we watching?
Are we watching Hunchback of Notre Dame?
No. But that was a really good guess. I knew you were going to think that that's what we're watching.
Okay, what are we watching?
We're going to be watching
Gargoyles?
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast!
Gargoyles! Come walking up here with gargoyles. No, we're watching Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
But we're watching the live action.
Oh, with Emma Watson?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah?
I'm scared now.
Terrifying. Emma Watson!
Well, not from her, but just like, I don't know how I feel about this. I'm scared, I guess.
How do you, okay. So
I'm worried I'm not going to like it.
Have you seen the original?
Yeah.
How did you feel about the original?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really nice.
Good. Okay, well, so are you just worried that this isn't going to live up to your expectations?
And like, whenever they're like, this is my issue just of Disney movies in general, when they're doing this whole live action, like, switch from, like, animated to this. Like, even Lion King. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, this is a live action Lion King. I was like, well, first of all, it's not really a live action. But point is, it's like, I'm just not a fan of them doing that. Yeah. Like, I'm not, like, some purist or anything like that. I was gonna say, I don't think it's necessary.
Is your issue that, like, okay, so the issue is that you don't think it's necessary, or is the issue that just, like, you've seen a couple and the ones that you've seen you haven't liked? So.
I've never seen any of the live action.
Okay.
But, like, I just don't think it's necessary.
Here's what I'll tell you. I've only seen a couple of the live actions. I saw Aladdin, hated it. And I love Aladdin.
I feel like a lot of people said that.
Yeah, I love Aladdin. I did not like the Aladdin live action. I thought Will Smith as the genie was very... It was jump scare. It was kind of a lot. It was scary. I didn't like the music. I didn't like it. I'll get more into this in the latter half of the podcast when we kind of compare. The Lion King, I liked. I did like The Lion King. I felt... So Beyonce was in it.
Uh-huh.
And
You're a Beyonce hater.
No, so. I'm not a Beyonce hater. I like Beyonce. But I think the issue with The Lion King is the songs that included Beyonce, one in particular, I think it was Can You Feel the Love Tonight, just became like, all it was Beyonce in a booth. It was not The Lion King anymore, you know what I mean? It felt a little, they leaned too much into that, and we lost the story.
Okay.
So I didn't appreciate that. Beauty and the Beast, I will say, is the one live action that I saw that I loved. There are bits and pieces that I can critique, but I loved this movie. It's one of the movies that I probably saw it like 4 times in theaters, which is... To me, in my
theater, oh my gosh!
For me, like, you know that I really like a movie when I see it more than once in theaters.
Yeah. That
is like the highest level of praise a movie can receive from me, is that I'm spending money on a ticket. Yeah. But there's a couple of films that, like, I want to see it in theaters. While it's in theaters, the experience won't be the same outside of that. Everything Everywhere All at Once was one where I saw multiple times in theaters, and Beauty and the Beast, the live action, I saw. I just knew. I was like, I gotta see this in theaters while it's in theaters.
Okay. And I feel like these all came out around the same time, right? Like, Lion King, Aladdin, Jungle Book.
It wasn't all. It wasn't like back to back to back, but there's definitely, and it's still going on. We're just kind of in this era of, like, you know, like you said, seeing these live actions. But I don't think it was within like the same year or.
I don't think it was like same year, but I feel like they were very close.
Beauty and the Beast, I think, was around 2017. I think it was 2017 because I think I was going to go to Spain that week that summer. Beauty and the Beast, I think, was 2017. And then Aladdin came out, I don't know how long after that. But it all started, I think it all kicked off with Cinderella.
There was a Cinderella.
They did a live action Cinderella before everything. And they did Maleficent, too, remember?
I mean, I remember that, but
yeah.
I guess that counts as a live action.
Yeah, it's Sleeping Beauty. They just changed the name.
I don't think it's Sleeping Beauty.
It is Sleeping Beauty.
I've never seen the original Sleeping Beauty. So I don't know.
You're correcting me?
Oh, I thought that was her own character. I thought this was his own character.
Maleficent, Maleficent, it's the story of Sleeping Beauty. It just shifts focus more onto Maleficent. But it's not like her origin story.
I can't fight you.
I can't, I saw it a while ago. I went with my grandparents to go see Maleficent.
This is why you know so well.
Oh, yeah. I went with my grandparents and my grandpa fell asleep. We went to go watch it, and like very early into the movie, I looked over and my grandpa was... in true grandpa fashion. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna watch Beauty and the Beast live action. I'm very excited for you to see it, and then we'll come back and we have a lot to talk about.
Oh, real quick before we get out of here, I've seen very small bits, not of this movie, but of like they put out this Beauty and the Beast like theater on Disney Plus recently.
What?
Yeah,
I guess
you haven't even seen it. I guess they did the theater show of Beauty and the Beast, right? And they put it on
the
Disney
stage
Plus.
production is on Disney Plus?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I'm going to need to see that. You're going to need to see it.
I've seen very small bits of it because Katie was watching it. But
okay. I definitely need to see that. And you know what? I changed the movie that I was going to have you watch literally today. Like on my way here, I texted Katie and it was like, hey, has Mario seen this movie? You think Mario's seen this movie? She's like, absolutely not. And I was like, I figured not. But because I was listening to the Beauty and the Beast cast recording, because I have my audition this weekend. Anyway, but it was interesting. I was listening to the cast recording, and the woman who plays Belle, I was listening to it, and I was like, this woman sounds so familiar. What do I know her from? The woman who I don't know what year this was, but in the cast recording that I was listening to, the woman who plays Belle is the voice of Meg in Hercules.
Oh, the original Hercules?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, not the original Hercules. Hercules has been around for a while.
Oh,
predates Disney.
Okay. Which Meg are we talking about then?
Huh?
Which Meg are we talking about?
The Disney one. The Disney animated Hercules.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, well, you can't say original with something that has been around since ancient times.
I've not been around since ancient times.
The woman that played Belle was actually painted on the vases.
The one that matters.
Just throwing out all the history.
We don't need that.
Whatever. All right, we're going to watch Beauty and the Beast, and we're going to come back, and there's going to be a lot to talk about, I think.
I hope so. I hope it's good.
Woo! Hey guys, welcome back to Clued and Clueless. We've just seen Beauty and the Beast, the live action.
We did. You know, last time I said it like jokingly when we watched Ocean's 8. This one, I'm not saying that much jokingly. I thought it like I never.
Wait, what did you say jokingly?
When I was like, well, you sure did.
Oh,
you know, like as if I didn't like it.
You
I
didn't
did
like it.
I never go into a movie like.
I just started packing up because you're talking.
That's it. But no, I never go into a movie like with any like bad thoughts, right? I always want to give a movie a chance.
You literally went into this going. You went into this and you went, God, I hope I don't hate it.
Okay, well, I did say that.
I'm just kidding. No, I know. You had an open mind. You're fine.
I had an open mind.
Yeah.
And it might be because my rose tinted glasses are on and I can't take them off because I can't see. But there was just something missing to me throughout the movie. And we'll talk about it as we go through the notes. But I just feel like there was stuff missing. Also, question.
Sure.
One thing I feel like I remember about this movie, right? Mm-hmm. Is like people like reviews of people talking about it, and not like actual reviews, but just like normal everyday folks.
Okay, yeah.
They're like Emma Watson can't sing.
Okay, yeah. I thought you were talking about the animated, but yes, okay, yeah.
And was that a thing? Like I don't have like an ear or anything for that kind of stuff.
I do remember that being a big conversation. I do greatly agree. Because and I feel like I could tell better in the movie theater than I could just watching this on your TV. But Emma Watson, from what I think, Emma Watson can carry a tune.
Mm-hmm.
She can carry a tune. She can sing it, but she is not a singer.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you really listen, her voice is heavily helped, very heavily auto-tuned.
I mean, I was kind of noticing
hear
that.
it?
Yeah.
Okay, it was not as distracting to me this time watching it as it always was in the movie theaters. It was like every time she sang, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So she can carry a tune. They didn't take someone who's like completely tone deaf and throw him in there, but she is not a singer, and you can tell she is not a singer. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Some of the parts are kind of talk sung.
Yeah.
And it's just very heavily helped. So yeah, but I'm willing to forgive it because I love Emma Watson.
And I think, but I feel like that brings a bigger conversation. And before we get into our actual review of the movie and everything like that, do you feel like that's an issue, like with Hollywood or theater in general, where they're getting these big name actors to be like in these singing roles, but it's like, well, let the singers kind of sing and let the actors act.
I think that's a big issue in general, and I think that there's a few different like pieces to that, because you start to get into like nepotism too. Like anytime that you throw somebody into a role simply because of their name is just a little like because you're taking a chance from somebody who could do so much better in the role, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like we were just talking about it with The Lion King, when they put Beyonce in there. Beyonce's an incredible singer, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. No one can dispute that. But like they sacrificed parts of the story so that Beyonce could be in that role. And I personally, and this isn't how everyone is, but how I am personally is like the story is sacred, and like when you start to compromise pieces of the story or betray characters, that just always really bothers me, because that's the heart of what you're trying to do. You're trying to tell a story, and when you sacrifice a piece of that, it's like, well, then what are you doing? So anyway, I do think that, and then I do also think that it's an issue with putting people in spots where they wouldn't necessarily excel. So like something like this, Emma Watson did great, but she can't. She's not a singer. Yeah. Again, you know what I mean?
She's trained to be a singer. She's trained to be an actress.
Yeah, and it does take a hit to the film. Like it does, because Belle is not a singer anymore. So like, you know, it's a give and take. I remember growing up, when I was in theater, I had a director who told us that theater was changing, because it used to be that it was pretty common for people to cast what was it? Oh, how did she say it? Where it used to be very essential to a character that if they sung, like only a singer would get it, because in that it used to be more common for singers to get those roles, and they could sing and like maybe not necessarily be as strong on the acting front, but the singing used to have more of the emphasis on it. And she said now what she has seen is she's seen a switch to putting actors who can sing into singer spots, because they can kind of sell it because they're an actor. So like you'll kind of forgive it. And that just always kind of stuck with me. And as a singer, it's annoying. but whatever. It's all about give and take. You're always going to sacrifice something to get something else that you want. So whatever. And I love Emma Watson, so I'll forgive it.
Well, going back to what she said about sacrificing the story, it's a great segue into what is this story, Kristen? I feel like everyone knows the Beauty and the Beast story, but what is a quick little recap of this movie to let everyone know?
Yeah, so Beauty and the Beast, classic fairy tale, tale as old as time, some may say.
Tale as old as time.
Keep going. Keep going. I'm gonna let you keep going. That's gonna be our musical interlude from now. the very end of the podcast. Tale as old as time. Mario Mata, ladies and gentlemen. So basically, there is a young woman named Belle who lives in a small town in France, who has always dreamt of bigger things than what her small town seems to be able to offer her and the other people in it. The people in town think that she and her father, who in the animated version is an inventor, in this version he's still like tinkers and things, but he's called an artist in this one, which I think is an interesting distinction. They called him an artist in this one. So Anyway, town thinks they're a little odd, but it's really just because they have less of a narrow view of life, and they, whatever. She reads, the other girls in town don't read. That kind of don't find the interest in reading. There's whatever. They're not as limited. So her dad goes one day to go on a trip of some sort, gets caught up by a beast. He gets caught stealing a rose. The beast, who has been cursed by a witch years and years prior, because the witch came in, very decadent place. He's a very selfish person. He's a very selfish person, living in gluttony, and she comes and she is a poor beggar woman just asking for, what did she ask for? A place to stay, I think.
Yeah,
just like a place to stay. Yeah, somewhere, because it's storming outside. And he kind of laughs at her. So she ends up cursing him. All of the people who lived in the kingdom forget about everyone who works within the castle. Everyone who works in the castle becomes pieces of the castle, china, a candelabra, whatever it might be, and he becomes a beast. So anyway, he finds Belle's father, takes him prisoner for stealing a rose. Belle comes to rescue him and takes his place. And then the main piece of the story is Belle and the beast kind of getting to know each other, learning to look past initial introductions and seeing past the exterior of the beast, learning that, hey, not judging a book by its cover, pretty much. And also then the beast learning to be soft and tender and to take care of other people and care about the people around him. Spoiler alert, movie ends with the beast transforming back into, because there's a rose. There's a rose. There's a rose. He's on a time limit. His whole thing with the curse is that he needs to learn to love someone and have that person reciprocate his love before the last petal of this enchanted rose falls, or else all of the members of the kingdom remain pieces of that castle. So they just the candelabra just turns into a candelabra, and so on, and he remains a beast forever. But he and Belle fall in love. She professes her love to him, and he turns back into a prince, and they live happily ever after. Also, Gaston is there.
Yeah, Gaston's there.
There's also a guy in the village who wants to marry Belle, and he sucks, and Belle doesn't want to marry him.
No. And he's like, I'm Luke Evans.
That is his line.
But, that opening song of the movie, right off the bat.
The very, very first one?
Very, very first. I think it's, kind of just setting, the whole,
Look, there she goes, that girl is strange.
No, not that one.
Which one? Where they're telling the story of
the story.
The witch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not, it's been forever since I've seen the animated movie, and I wrote that later. I was like, did they add some songs to this?
Yes.
Because I definitely don't remember that.
They definitely added some songs. I'm trying to remember how I think the animated version just starts out with,
I think it does. With her singing, and she pops through the doors.
Yeah, bonjour, bonjour. And I think that we just kind of learned the pieces of what happened. No. Hang on, let me look this up. It just has that motif in the background, the do 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 do, and he's telling the story of what happened, and then I think it fades into the Belle song.
Bonjour. Okay.
Bonjour.
Yeah, I knew that seemed off.
Yeah, so they added some other songs too. The Days in the Sun, da 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 da, where they show him as a child.
Oh yeah, I was.
That's a new song.
That's new for sure.
And that kind of becomes a motif too, because when we first see her father, he's tinkering and he's saying, "How does a moment last forever?" And it's named something different, but to the same tune. And then Evermore is also an added song where he's singing, I was the one who had it all. I was the master of my fate. And she leaves and he's
That's new.
That's a new song. I
didn't realize that was. I thought that was an original one. I actually like that song.
New song. I liked it too.
So, yeah, wrote... can Emma actually sing, and we talked about that.
These live actions have those added because I think in order to be eligible to win a Grammy, it needs to be an original song,
which is always funny.
So they have to kind of have to do it. But some of the films do it well, and some do not. Aladdin had a new song, and that song sucked. I hated it. It
Didn't
was so
Lion
bad.
King do that and it also kind of was bad?
I don't remember what the new... I think they did, but I don't... You know what made me mad about
They got
Lion
rid of
King?
some certain songs.
They had...
like, iconic songs.
Yeah, the song... that Scar sings.
Yeah, Scar song.
It, like, is there, but he talks it the entire time. He doesn't sing it. And that was offensive. That was so upsetting. But the Aladdin one also was bad because it wasn't, like, in the style of the music of the rest of the song. It stuck out like a sore thumb. These songs I liked these songs. They were charming. They, like, fit in with, like, the narrative. And Evermore... that slaps. I sing that song all the time. So yeah, I was okay with the added songs here because they didn't sacrifice pieces of the story. They didn't feel forced and they still fit the style. Yeah, of the rest of the songs.
That's what I was thinking also. I was like, listening to all the songs, like even just the original songs, it all just fit really well into the story.
It flowed.
Nothing ever is like took away from the story.
Yeah.
There was never anything that you're like, okay, this is dragging on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay. But I felt like everything, like, movie-wise, I feel everything flowed perfectly fine. Yeah. As we get further into my notes, we'll see where I started falling apart.
What your qualms were,
exactly. And then I said Archer from The Hobbit, which is Luke Evans.
Yeah.
Because that's all I know him
Yeah, he
from.
is in The Hobbit. But it's funny because when I saw The Hobbit, I went, hey, that's Gaston!
But in saying that, they got rid of my favorite line in the original series.
I heard you say that.
Which was, what is this? Sandwich of words? That's my favorite Gaston line. They got rid of that.
I'm sorry.
Because, like, I also had, like, slight issues with Gaston. I
liked Gaston.
I felt Luke Evans was good, but I felt that's the bad part about it. He's, like, I've seen him in so much where he's always kind of, like, the good guy, like, strong good guy. Yeah. And so here, it's, like... It just doesn't feel like Gaston. He doesn't feel like a slime ball, you know?
Yeah. Oh.
It's not till, like, the later half of the movie.
I can give that to you because I thought his casting was perfect. I loved it. But what I didn't realize until you said that just now, he does still give pompous. He still does give, like, annoying, right? Yeah. Like, all of those things. But he does it, you're right. I didn't get that slimy feeling like I remember getting in the other, like, in the original film. Yeah. And, you know, like I said, I was just listening to the cast recording, and in the musical, he has a whole song that he basically sings to Belle, like, where he's kind of proposing to her. Mm-hmm. And, in that whole song is just so gross and misogynistic. Like, it literally has a line where he's like, I don't remember the exact words, but basically he's singing about how, like, you've been waiting your whole life wondering, like, if you're gonna attain that one thing, if you're gonna be a man's wife. And then he's like, well, you're lucky you. Like, you're gonna be my wife, whatever. And he has a line where he says, like, women can be good for things too, usually continuing the bloodline. Yeah. And that was something that I feel like I remember, not maybe to that extent, but I do remember feeling that in the animated film. I didn't get that so much here. It was more just egotistical guy.
And that's what I was getting at.
Yeah, I'll
like,
give it to you.
Because he has that one line where he's like, you should just be thinking about having kids. Yeah. Like, kids and stuff like that, but it's just like...
But it's not as overt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, he tried killing her dad and all this.
Listen, he did try.
And then he tried sending him to the loony bin or stuff like that.
But we lost some of that misogyny.
Exactly.
You're right. And that was a big piece of Gaston.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, he's not this, like...
Now he's a feminist.
Over the top person.
Now he's just a really annoying feminist.
He's just an annoying guy. He wasn't this over the top, like, person that I felt like he could have been.
Yeah.
He looked good as the role, but I guess I expected more as it went on.
I can give that to you for sure. I can understand that.
How did you feel about LeFou?
I liked LeFou too. It's hard playing those comedic relief characters where, like, almost your entire character description is comedic relief, because sometimes it's very hit or miss. I thought some of his stuff was really funny. Some of it really made me laugh, especially when he's, like, shadowing Gaston. So when there's a part where Gaston looks in the mirror and he, like, looks at himself and he's like, I'm not done with you yet. And LeFou comes up behind him and he's like, you either. Like, little things like that made me laugh. Some of, like, his little quips. And then there were some things that I didn't like. As with all comedy. There were some things where I was like, that didn't really fit, or that kind of hit the mark. Specifically, and this is one where it was like, I don't know why you messed with it, because it was good in the original. During Gaston, at the very end, when he spells out his name, and he's like, his name is G-A-S-T. I think there's another T. It just occurred to me that I'm illiterate and I've never had to spell it out loud before. That was annoying. I don't like that line because it feels forced.
I definitely felt that exact
Yeah,
thing.
it's a little cringy, and I also don't know why they mess with it, because in the original and the animated film, it's the same concept, but it doesn't feel as forced. It feels more natural. He goes, and his name is G-A-S-T-O-G-A-S-T, and he's still struggling, but it's a little bit more like organic, and then he goes, forget it, Gaston. I wish that they'd kept that. That to me is more, I could buy into that a little bit more and laugh at it. The other one just kind of felt like I'm trying to force the laugh.
It definitely did. I liked him. Yeah. I thought he was funny, he was good.
You know, that's Olaf, right?
See, that's what I was just about to say. I know who this actor is, right? Could never tell you his name as many times as I've seen
Josh
him.
Gad.
But I was like, I feel like he was in a big role, and you saying that now did totally remind me, because I could picture it in my face. But I was like...
In my face.
Flames.
Flames.
But no, I liked him in his role.
He's a New Girl, too.
I don't know.
Have you not seen those episodes yet with Bear Claw?
I literally only watched the episodes of the show.
Well, yeah, but I don't remember where we left off. We didn't see Bear Claw?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Maybe you and Katie did, but I probably wasn't there.
Okay, well, he's in New Girl. He's in a couple episodes, and he makes me laugh in New Girl. He's funny.
I don't... Did he... I was skipping a little ahead in the movie about him, like, since we're talking about him. Doesn't he die?
In the animated?
Yeah.
No. LeFou does not die.
Does he just, like, run away or something? Because he obviously doesn't, like, fight with the furniture. I don't think that's, like,
I don't remember what happens to him, but he doesn't... I don't remember
I feel like he just cowers away, right?
Maybe.
From the beat.
I don't remember.
I thought that was, like, not strange, but I was just, like, interesting.
That he was still there.
Yeah, that he was still there.
I thought it made sense, though, for his character. I don't remember what happens in the animated, but I feel like it makes sense to his character. The entire village is going. Where are you going to go? You know? Yeah. What else was I going to say? Oh, an interesting callback, too. In the animated film, when they're all... Remember, like, Gaston goes to go meet with... He's, like, plotting to get rid of Maurice, and he goes to, like, a little bar, tavern or whatever, and there's someone, like, in the corner, and he's, like, a hooded guy, and he's, like, talking to him, and I think he's, like, plotting about making Maurice disappear. Well, that guy in the corner, the man who plays him, the voice of him, is also the voice of Frollo in Hunchback of Notre Dame, the animated film.
I've never seen that, so... Speaking of people I've never heard of,
yeah,
her dad Maurice, right?
Yeah.
I wish he would have been like frumpier, you know?
Interesting. Elaborate. Why?
I just feel like he was too like. And again, I'm gonna compare this to the original because I just love it.
So, that's fine. Yeah,
it's literally based. It said it's based off the animated movies. Also,
yeah. It's Disney. Yeah,
but it was just like I feel like he's too like tall and he kind of like stand up for himself a little too much. This is really weird casting, right? But I feel like it could have worked. I feel like if you put like someone like Danny DeVito in that role,
that would have been interesting.
It would have been interesting, right? But Danny DeVito's a great actor, especially when he was younger, and I feel like he could have did like the older dad to Belle.
Yeah, well, so I think that there was just a marked difference in his character in this movie because, like I said, right, they didn't call him an inventor, they called him an artist. And they also, like, there was an active effort, I feel, to, like, really make it clear this man is not crazy. And they just went about it in a different way because in the animated film... I think we still get that he's not really crazy, but they made him very eccentric.
Yeah.
And that was a big piece of his character, and that was really why people thought he was crazy, not just because he tinkered with things, but because he was tinkering with things, and they were always, he was an inventor, so things were always going wrong before he got it right, you know? So, like, it made him very eccentric. He was kind of like a bumbling kind of guy, and, like, you know, if you see, like, people would see all of his inventing failures, and then here he's like fine-tuning like these beautiful pieces of like artwork that he's made.
Yeah.
He's well kept, he's well spoken, because that's the other thing in the animated film. Like I said, he's bumbling, he stumbles over his words a lot, he's kind of babbling and trying to figure out how to get things out. He doesn't do that in this film. He's a very intelligent man, and he's pretty refined in this film. So I think that there is just a very different way that they were showing that character to us.
And I think the issue I have with it, because like what you said is perfectly accurate, but it's just like, I feel like there's too many characters like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You kind of need like that bumbling father figure or something like that to like just give contrast
I think that's
to like
fair.
Belle and stuff like that. Because if you have like these two almost, I want to say, like perfect people in this small town village, it's just like, it kind of just makes them look bad almost, because this is then like everyone's just like, oh, they're just so stuck up, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you, because I do think that it changes a lot about the story.
Yeah.
Because if him being eccentric and bumbling is why the town thinks that he's crazy, right? If that's why they kind of write him off, then that also, like, to me, it's easier to buy into, okay, he's coming, he's talking about a beast, and everyone's like, okay, of course, he's being crazy. But, like, in this version, if people just think he's kind of odd because he's smart, it's like, if he comes in talking about a beast, that to me does not immediately translate into, we're gonna write him off. That's more like, buddy, are you okay? Like, are you feeling okay? You know what I mean? And I agree with you. And now what I will say is, in the animated film, if I'm remembering correctly, when he comes in babbling about a beast, everyone does immediately laugh at him. Like, everyone in the tavern immediately laughs, and they're like, okay, yeah, crazy old Maurice, like, whatever. But in this one, when he comes in and he's like, hey, Gaston tied me up, whatever, people kind of look at Gaston and they're like, hey, is what he said true? And they ask him for proof, but of course you're going to ask him for proof, like, because you're about to, those are serious accusations, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But they didn't immediately write him off and laugh at him in this film like they did in the animated film. So I think that they did a good job of at least staying true to the character and the story that they were telling. They just decided to change the story. And, you know, it's fair if you don't like the change, because it does change. It does change things.
It does change the story.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't overly change it. It doesn't ruin the story in any way. Things.
And he was very endearing when he was like a babbling kind of loony guy. You know what I mean? He was endearing in this film, but in a very different way.
Yeah. So now we're getting into the Beast. Okay, let's get
We're going character by character.
Well, I'm just going about my notes. So if you have anything that you want to interject.
Well, I'm just saying the past few things we've talked about, we've been going character by character.
Well, you know, that's just the story. You know, I went with
it's
the
just
story.
the web I'm spinning.
The Beast. Okay, this is where everything.
Played by Dan Stevens.
Dan Stevens. Don't know who he is still.
But he's gonna be so offended and hurt when he hears that.
He probably will, isn't this? Because he like vanity searches his name on Twitter probably.
And then including Clueless.
Yeah. He's like, what is this? Did he even tag him? No, I'm sorry. But no. Now, there was never a point where I felt like the acting or anything just wasn't there, okay? For the Beast, though, I just didn't like the look, and I think it was mainly because...
Yeah, why?
Like, even if it's, like, you can call it, like, CGI or anything like that, right? Special effects, I don't really care. I think it would have been better, potentially, if it was practical. Like, go more that route, maybe.
Okay. I mean, there were elements that were practical.
Yeah, there were elements, but the face itself.
Okay, I see what you mean.
I
think it would just be difficult to do.
It definitely is.
To do like close shots and then far shots where it still looks like believable when it's practical and doesn't look silly. You know what I mean?
It definitely is, and like. Again, you only got so much of a budget and all this, obviously. So why spend all your time doing these practical effects?
Yeah.
I just didn't like it. I felt like it was like I felt it was very flat, and it felt like a stone.
Interesting. That's so interesting because I have in my notes that I thought that he was quite expressive for being CGI. Yeah.
Interesting. Like, I don't know. It just felt flat to me, and it felt
fair.
Like if you're looking at like a gargoyle's face almost.
And I think that's I think that's valid, and I think because CGI, especially on this to this caliber, is still like a new frontier and is still being developed. So I think that a lot of these live actions, that's something that we run into is how do we make this just as expressive as like a normal human face, while not being silly and not being, a little crazy, because like the Lion King has that issue. Like I think even with little things like Sonic, right, and stuff, like generally movies where we are trying to put these animated characters into live action films, it's hard. Yeah. And so I think that's a super valid thing and I think it's because that's technology that we're still trying to advance to get it to where we want it to be.
Yeah. And CGI is constantly advancing, it's constantly evolving, like literally every year I feel like it's different. This movie came out in 2017.
Yes.
And
I did confirm that. I looked it up.
And I feel like it will only degrade more, obviously. Like, it's good. It holds up now. But I feel like
in the future, 2-3 more years, look back.
It's even kind of worse than I remember.
Definitely, for sure.
But, I mean, I just wasn't crazy. Again, like, this is nothing against his acting. It's nothing against, like, his singing. I actually thought his singing was very, very good.
Yeah, I agree.
But, again, I just felt flat to me. It just didn't feel like Beast.
That's fair,
right?
Well, wait. Now, when you say Beast, are you saying, like, the entirety of the Beast's physical form, or are you just talking about his face?
Just the face.
Okay.
To me, again, my rose-tinted glasses are on very hard. But
they have to be.
Yeah, I just didn't feel like they were very... the face wasn't very expressive.
Okay, that's fair.
And that is going to lead into a couple more things that I talk about later on. But then we're going from the beat, because a lot of the notes are kind of missed because I was just really enjoying the story. It's nice to see this movie again.
Yeah.
Like, again, it's a live action, but I do enjoy
the story
of Beauty and the Beast.
I do too.
I used to read this book called Beastly, which is like a teen drama book. About a modern take. My favorite song. Mm-hmm. So my favorite song.
Yeah, I do want to know.
As we're going, as if you could tell, if we're sort of following along with the notes, is Gaston.
I love that song. I
love
agree.
that song. Had big issues with it.
Oh no! Okay. I'm interested to hear. I think I know what you're gonna say.
And it wasn't the singing. Okay.
It
actually wasn't that. It was. I just didn't feel like the scene was big enough.
Oh,
it didn't feel huge. Like, that's why I threw on the YouTube version. I was like, am I just, like, overthinking this? Is my rose-tinted glasses on too tight? But I was like, I don't think it is. I was like, there's so much more going on. Like, with, not LeFou. Oh, yes, with LeFou. They're, like, swinging him around. Yeah. He's doing all this more. And, you can't, it's very hard to do that in, like, live action.
Yeah.
But it to me, it's just, like, it felt so huge in this. And here, I feel like, you have this great cast. Yeah. And I feel like you could have done a lot more of this scene to, like, really, like, bring everything out.
That's just see, this is why I like doing stuff like this and talking about these things, because, like, it's so interesting. Some of our notes are, like, polar opposites. And, like, he, like, picks up the women.
Yeah.
And he picks up one girl and LeFou, but, like, yeah.
And, again, you can't do some of this stuff in, like, live action. It's just not feasible most of the time.
But no, I got you. So so I think that this brings up something interesting, because the reason why I like this film so much, especially when compared to the other live actions, is because what this movie does that the other ones didn't, to me, is this movie treats Beauty and the Beast as a musical, which all Disney films at their hearts are musicals. Yeah. That's what they are. It's musical theater. And in the other films, I feel like they don't respect that as much. It's hard now. Lion King, it's hard to do that. Yeah. So, like, I liked Lion King. So, like, I'm not talking about Lion King, but, like, Aladdin treated it like a movie that had songs.
Yeah.
And that was so glaringly obvious to me. The singers, like, they weren't, like, I don't know if they're, like, trained to be singers, but, like, it didn't read as singers. They didn't read as dancers. And, like, it was just very obvious, and it hurt the final product. This one, to me, treated these like musical numbers. So I actually really liked Gaston because I felt that grandness.
Yeah.
But I felt that grandness on a musical theater scale, which is slightly different than grandness on like an animated feature scale, if you know what I mean. So I can respect that opinion for sure. And and I wish, this is where like, get Alamo Drafthouse on the phone. Because like, I also wonder, I saw this so many times in theaters, which helps aid that grandiose feeling, So seeing that on a huge stage with like surround sound, it did feel big and grand. And it does naturally feel smaller
obviously
on
harder
a
with a TV.
And so I wonder, I'm not saying that is the full reason for that, but I wonder how much of that is like almost tainted in my mind just because of the way that I experienced the first few times that I watched this film. But yeah, that's just interesting hearing because I did feel that grandiose feeling.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean that's valid because there are things in the animated film that like I can't. And maybe I'm looking at it again. Maybe part of it is the like the certain extra level of like realism that like has to come with a live action film, and not in the sense of like we like physically can't do this, like you can't raise 3 women, not in that sense, but in like a lot of the characters kind of got toned down a little bit just so that they seemed a little bit more realistic.
And so there's my issue is like even like right here, him doing that, right? Luke Evans didn't do something like that. It's like when he's going around doing, it's just I want him to be over the top.
Yeah,
and I am looking at it as a stage production to a degree. It's just like. Yes, this is a film, but like you said, and I love that how they treated everything. Like I love like again, like you said, making it feel like a musical. But to me, it's just like you should have went over the top with it, especially as a character like Gaston. This whole thing could have been way bigger.
Yeah, and that makes sense then for the difference in opinion because I am a realist when it comes to performance and I really enjoy that.
Yeah, I'm not. If I was like if I want to try directing someone, I was like, and I want something crazy, I was like, just go over the top of it.
Yeah.
Don't.
And see, I think that for this though, that would have made sense because we all know the original story. We all know like the kind of characters that these are, you know what I mean? So I think that with like a Disney film especially, it's fine to lean into that. And I don't think that would have hurt my perception of the film, but I think that's maybe why I didn't clock it and that's why you did. And like I'm watching the animated version, and yeah, it's just for anyone who hasn't like seen either of these. The documentary that we just watched, the live action film, it's like a musical number. There's a lot of stomping and people kind of like dancing together and dancing on tables and stuff, but it's all very rooted in like reality and like how people would actually be acting. The animated film has LeFou like jumping on tables and stepping on people's beer bottles or like, their pints of beer. LeFou is getting like literally carried and like flung around. Gaston is getting into fights with like the other people at the bar, but like cartoony fights where they're all like in a big knot and he's like biting someone's leg. I'm trying to think. Even things like this, they could have put this in the movie, but he's playing chess with someone and he gets so upset that he hits the chessboard and it goes flying. They could have put that in the movie, but they did again. They kind of watered him down and didn't make him so like over the top egregious. Putting the belt around his neck and he like pops it off with his neck muscles. So yeah, it's definitely toned down. Yeah,
it's toned down, and I just feel like it missed it because of that. It's like, I feel like
that's fair. Especially if that's your favorite song. Yeah, I can see that.
Of all the people you can tone, like Gaston's always been like one of my favorite like people
Disney characters,
right? Yeah. Even like when I see like people post TikToks or videos of like Gaston at the Disney parks, right? Yeah. He's still this over top guy. Yeah. And I was like, haha, funny. I love this, right? But it's just like of all the things you could tone down, like and make it more realism and all that.
No, I give that to you.
You should have kept Gaston
because he is an iconically over the top character. That's just who he is in his heart. So yeah, I will give that to you for sure.
As we're just going through the movie and all my crazy little notes that I have, the furniture to me was like the best part.
I did like the furniture.
The whole time with the furniture, just like every Cogsworth. Cogsworth.
Yeah, like the cogs in a machine, you know?
Lumiere, Mrs. Pot, not so much Chip.
Mrs. Potts.
Mrs. Potts. Chip.
Mrs. Pot is a different character.
Kind of annoying. I didn't like Chip in this one, and I was like, eh.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, eh. It's also it kind of got really this weird uncanny valley, like when you would look at them.
Yeah. I
didn't like the design.
I agree.
Like the actor, like acting and design.
Well, and that for some reason that was with the teapot specifically.
Yeah, it's just a teapot.
Yeah,
that
it was Mrs. Potts and Chip. For some reason, it was an uncanny valley kind of. That's a good way of putting it. And I didn't know how to articulate it, but that's what it is. The rest of the characters, I think that it's very artfully done, like how they do their quote unquote eyes and their faces and stuff. But that was scary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they gave
I agree.
Like too real eyes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
There was
a better way to do it, I feel like.
Don't know how. I hate.
Oh yeah, I'm glad I didn't have that job. But I will happily critique from over here, you know.
But I was just like, kind of weird. But I did love the furniture. Like their songs, I loved. Just them as like characters are just amazing.
They're fun. They were really fun. This film is just so pretty to look at, and that's why I loved seeing it in films, because it was just so beautiful. Some of the pictures were just so nice, like specifically, so when Belle runs out at the beginning, and she's singing Belle Reprise, and she like runs out and she runs in this big like open field, and she's like, I want adventure in the great wide somewhere. That every single time that I've seen this movie has made me cry, because it's just so beautiful, and like it's also, the score is just so like hopeful and uplifting and like just so anticipatory. And I also, something about me, I really like vast things and larger than life things. I really don't know how else to describe that, but I love like wide open landscapes like that.
Okay.
Yeah, just like vastness I'm really drawn to, and so something like that also, like the picture was just that's beautiful. Also when Belle is getting ready for their ball or whatever, their little dance that they're gonna have, and I
need you to hold off on that part, because I did write something about that, so I do want to hear what you have to say, but I don't want to skip to it right away.
Okay, let me just talk about the stage picture. Which, is there a word for that when it comes to film?
Stage picture.
So stage picture, like when people talk about stage picture, it's just like a moment on stage. Usually there is a pause where like it's just pretty to look at. So like the end of a song or something like that, and people just say the stage picture looks nice. What is the equivalent of that on film? Like when there's just a moment in the film that just looks very pretty.
I couldn't tell you.
I don't know. Well, when the gold flecks come down, it's pretty. When the gold flecks come down, it's very nice to look at. It's pretty. And also when he lifts her and they're dancing, and there's like all the little like makeshift stars. It's so pretty. It's just nice to look at.
Don't make me. I'm gonna cut to that part.
You're gonna cry?
No, I'm not, because I didn't like it actually. It felt
Mario.
I didn't want to have to go to it so far. That's why I'm trying to hold you off so I can. I'm
sorry, I wasn't expecting you to say something so inflammatory.
So I could compliment sandwich it. But here's my issue with it. Okay, you said it was like theater, right? Yeah. Like how you loved it, and I was like, that's what I'm missing right there.
From which part specifically? Her dress?
No. The dress is fine. I like.
I didn't like her dress.
You like the dress?
See, we are polar opposites on this.
This movie is tearing us apart right now.
It's tearing this podcast apart.
But I thought the dress was nice. When you said like the banners came down and all that, right?
Yeah.
I didn't like that because
the gold flags?
And I think you ruined it because you're like, oh, it's just like theater. Because if I was watching a theater show and this had happened, I would be in love with it. Here, it just looks so fake. It just
really?
Looks. It did not. I didn't
like
it.
I thought it
I felt like
magical.
I was on a soundstage and there's dancing in front of a green screen.
Wow.
I really hate to say that. But
I don't know. You said it with your full chest.
No, yeah.
You said it, and
because I know
you can never take those words back.
And I know I can't, and I won't, because I know from the animated how beautiful it is, like doing that, right? And so here it's just Again, this is actually like one of my favorite like Disney movies.
Yeah.
Like older Disney movies, this is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I feel it's just missing so much character.
So both the gold flecks and when he lifts her and there's like, it looks like there's stars.
Yeah,
Both of those.
Wow. It just didn't, it felt so fake. So just like,
wow. Okay.
And I'm really sorry to say. But again, and that's kind of going to go into a little bit of like the next moment, but let me cut back just a little bit.
I don't know if I can ever forgive you for that.
I know.
I see you in a different light now.
I'll come back to this part because it doesn't mean too much, but I will go to like my next point of what I have to say about this whole thing.
Yeah.
This moment in the movie, right? They're dancing and all that.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like the moment, you know? It's like her getting feelings for him, him getting feelings for her, and then she sees that her dad is in trouble and she has to leave. Mm-hmm. The Beast lets her go. Mm-hmm. Right? He's like, you gotta go, you know? That is supposed to be such an emotional part, right?
For those who haven't seen it, Belle looks into a magic mirror because the Beast realizes that she is missing her father. So he gives her a magic mirror so that she can see her father, and she asks the mirror to show her dad. And this is when the villagers are starting to turn on him, and they're gonna take him to an insane asylum, basically. So she sees him being attacked and is scared for him. And so, yes, the Beast, knowing that it's probably him giving away his one chance at becoming normal again, loves her and lets her go to her dad.
And in saying that, it feels like this really grand moment, and you're supposed to be like almost sad, really sad, crying almost. I didn't feel that because I just felt like there was the Beast and Belle, Emma Watson, and Dan Stevens. Yeah. I just felt like there was never a connection.
Interesting.
I was never drawn into that.
Wow.
And like, I was like, okay, because I was like, am I gonna feel like I'm gonna start crying?
Yeah.
Do I feel the tears?
Yeah.
I didn't feel anything.
Wow.
I just didn't feel like their connection like at all.
Really?
And I really don't know what it was.
What about when they went, which is interesting because I would even argue that in this film they spend more time. Now, if the quality was off for you, then that's the explanation. But I would even say that in this film they spend more time developing that relationship because they even
I could definitely see all that.
Because they add the scene of them going to Belle's childhood home, which, again, for those who haven't seen it, there's a moment in this film that is not included in the original animated film where it's revealed that the witch, she's a witch, right? Is how to describe her?
An enchantress.
Yeah. She leaves behind a book that I guess allows the Beast to like visit different geographies. But I think that they're vacant of people is, in my mind, that's not what's said in the movie, but in my mind, I don't think.
I really don't know because I thought. Kind of talking about this weird, strange book. I thought it was like, oh, he can just like, not like physically go there, but it seemed like they physically went there because she brought it back.
Yeah,
so, and I guess it was just like an empty like place, like attic, and it was no more. But I was like, that's kind of weird that he can just kind of like teleport around the world.
But see, and I wonder how the magic works because he says like, oh, it's her greatest curse because the world isn't ready for a beast like me, which to me implies he can go, but there are people there. Like, he's actually transporting to these places.
That's what he just meant.
However,
how it looks.
What do you mean?
Because like if someone saw the beast, they'd be like, oh, and everybody would run away.
But that's what I'm saying. So by him saying that, it's implied that if he goes somewhere, there are people there.
Oh, yeah.
But when he gets there, he asks her, where do you want to go first? Do you want to go to Notre Dame? Do you want to go to these touristy places? But he just got finished talking about how he can't.
I think he's just like trying to form a connection with her. I don't think he can like physically go there.
So he would like let her go? And he would just wait. That's what I mean. I'm just wondering how the magic works. I'll ask her. But so
you could have cut that part out of the movie also because I was just like the whole mother story was.
I liked getting more backstory on her and figuring out what happened to her mom.
I didn't think that was needed.
Okay,
that was like the one slow part to me. It was like
it's a slow part.
Not like slow, but like not
slow part.
Not needed part.
God.
Again, it's just trying to build their connection, but I just never felt it.
Well, but I don't think the purpose of that was building their connection. I think that was just giving us backstory on Belle, and that was forming her. And I just think the natural consequences of experiencing that together does kind of build their chemistry. But so what happens is he tells her to think of a place that she wants to go and to envision it in her mind's eye. They get transported to where...
That mind's eye line was funny. Just, sorry.
Oh my god. All we're learning about Mario in this is that Mario doesn't understand romance. Is Mario doesn't understand romance, and he doesn't like poetic language. Anyway.
Mind's eye is poetic language.
What?
Mind's eye is
Tell me what you found weird about it. Tell me what you found weird about it. Was it the fact that he read it, he said it as if it were poetry?
I guess so.
Anyway. So they go to a windmill, which is where her parents had her, and that was where she began her life. And they end up finding out, because she never figured out, her father never talked about what happened to her mother. And we end up finding out that her mom got sick with the plague. And in an effort to save her, her father and her had to leave. He had to leave with her as a very small baby so that she would not catch the sickness. And they left her mom to die, which is really dark. But I guess Mario thought that was a slow point in the film. So
it was only like 15 seconds max.
It was sad. Like... She found out how her mom died. And like that, you go back to the guilt that you would feel. Because they left because of her, pretty much.
I mean, she's a child, and her mom didn't want her to like get sick also.
Yeah, but when you're experiencing those emotions for the first time, there's a level of guilt that you're going to feel.
I guess so.
You left behind your mom to die.
She didn't leave her mom. Her dad kind of took her away. So her dad carries that burden, if anything.
You can never be a performer.
You know what?
You're not understanding these characters in their entirety.
I drew my mind's eye for you.
You drew... Mario just drew a hieroglyphic eye on his face.
But yeah, I just didn't feel the connection. You know what's funny is it was a very like a small connection there, right? That I did cry for was the piano and the wardrobe.
Oh, good.
I felt really bad about that because I was like, it's such a simple thing, but it's like these two people who truly love each other separated. And they can't
separated within the same home.
Exactly.
That's so sad.
And
for
so
years.
when she was able to like hop down and come to him, I cried to that because I was like, that's so sweet.
I'm glad that you felt that, and that's something that I enjoy about this film.
And that's like
go for it.
Animated people, not even real. And I guess the Beast is animated also, but it's like they're constantly doing this.
Yeah,
and I was just like.
And that's something that I do like about this film is the care that it takes with even the small details and the care that it takes for its characters. It respects the characters as they created them because they've changed from the original animation. But they care for these characters as they created them. And that kind of craftsmanship throughout a film is to me what makes those kind of moments hit you so much deeper, and it's because of all of the work that they put behind it that your brain doesn't have to think about but is subconsciously absorbing.
Exactly.
And yeah, I'm glad that you said that because I do love those two characters. It's really sweet,
and that's why I think it makes me like slightly mad about the film because it's like I cared about this and it's only like quick little segments.
Yeah,
but it's like. But I couldn't care about Belle and the Beast. And it's like that really hurt to me.
I'll give that to you. Yeah.
And I guess like my final note was just when he does transform. I feel like it even happened in the animated film. It's no fault of anyone, but it's just like he's just kind of like the most average kind of looking person.
Just I will say that I think he's more handsome in this film than he is in the animated. I think he's handsome. I like the Beast in this one. In the animated one, that's like I feel like forever been like a big qualm with many people with that film is like Prince Adam is just not the most attractive prince that we've seen in Disney. I feel like he's almost like too handsome. Like they made him like too like it looks like looking at like handsome Squidward. You know what I mean? Like it's just the pieces are there, but it's the math's not math and it's not coming together right.
Sorry, Dan Stevens.
No, I'm not saying that about Dan Stevens. I think Dan Stevens is handsome. I'm saying that about the animated Adam. Yeah, he is like too conventional. I don't know.
I'll say this: when you're walking around Disney, you never see the Beast as the prince. You only ever see him as the Beast. So.
Well, because he's not interesting. Also, as the
that's what I'm saying.
He's not. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and
you get it.
I do get it. But yeah, I really wanted to like this movie. I was excited when you like mentioned it. I was
Yeah.
worried, but I was excited.
Yeah.
I was like, ugh. And then I don't know. I just feel like it didn't ever. It kept crescendoing, but it just never hit those expectations.
I mean, okay. I mean, that's fair. A fair review. I would like to say that we mentioned it. I would like to say that my biggest thing with this film is I didn't like her dress. That, to me, I remember being in the theater and that felt like a huge letdown. Because that's like the big moment.
Yeah.
Is her in that iconic dress. You know, that is the moment. And like, I didn't like the dress. The dress was very like, I don't know. It was just very anticlimactic, that moment. I felt it's not as ornate as her dress is in the movie. Her dress in the movie has like these beautiful like what do you call that? What do you call that?
While you're looking dress. It up, yeah, I mean, I could definitely see your point. I never thought it was a bad dress. I'm not gonna say I loved it, but it wasn't. To me, there was nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. Well, okay, here we go. See how it has like all these beautiful like layers? Mm-hmm. Like it has these tiers to it.
And I could definitely see how they're trying to do that with like.
But all they did was add ruffles on the side.
Yeah.
Like ruffles? Are you serious?
Well,
like
I meant like that little like gold print that went with it, or like the details. Yeah,
but
I feel like that's what they were trying to like do with that.
But. Oh, I see what you mean. No, because that's. I don't know. I don't think so. Just because this to me is so clearly fabric in the animated movie that like it's supposed to be a tiered dress with all this beautiful like fabric cascading down from her. And then also this little thing, the little piece around like her shoulders is supposed to be, and then even like the gloves. Like where was all of this? The one that she has in her in the movie, let me find her movie dress again. It just has little like ruffles on the side, and it has those gold details, but you really can't see them very well, like when the camera is pulled away from her. Okay, see, it's just got little like ruffles. It like completely abandoned the part around like her shoulders. She doesn't have her gloves. I don't know if maybe they were trying to make this more period accurate. Maybe that's the only thing I can think of. Now I don't know anything about costumes, so that is just me throwing that out there.
I don't think it was nominated for best costume design or anything like that. But
well, you know what? What was this nominated for?
I don't think it was nominated for anything.
Are you sure? No, I disagree.
But I feel like it goes back to what you said earlier, where they kind of just tried making it too on the realism side.
Well, I feel like the dress, that's not realistic to look like it did in the animation.
But I feel like they're just going with like you said, period piece kind of dress, you know.
And maybe I just kind of threw that out there. I don't know anything about period design, but no. Okay, yes, it got costume design. Okay, well, it was a nominee. You didn't like the costumes in this? I thought the costumes were beautiful. This will be our last episode.
I liked her. No, I will say this. I liked her, like the Belle look. I enjoyed that. Like the.
But I mean, all the costumes. Like I mean, like the villager costumes, the costume for all of the people that were in the castle before the curse was placed on it. These are very beautiful, ornate costumes.
It just felt very like normal to me. Like I've seen better. Like when you're doing stuff like that, you look at Pirates of the Caribbean. That's way better than.
I disagree. I would say that those are equal.
You're gonna say those are equal.
Let me look at the beginning of this again. Look at the beginning of this again. Hang on, let me find.
This is the episode where we fight and we do not continue this.
No, never, never, and I will never speak to you again. Hang on. Opening scene. Let me say opening scene. Opening scene.
But yeah, I don't know. Like if we're gonna compare this to like Pirates of the Caribbean, a movie that came out almost like 10 years earlier. I feel like their costumes were way better. Okay,
let's see. Look at these costumes. Look at how detailed and ornate these are. This is exactly like Pirates of the Caribbean.
But then, okay, but like...
Look, and they had to make so many of these, and every single one is so detailed. Look at all these things on the back.
I'll definitely give it to you.
Look at that.
But
even him.
But are we only judging it from just one scene?
No. But this is arguably one of the most grandiose costume scenes that there is in this entire thing.
For a scene that wasn't technically in the animated film, but...
Well, yeah, but we're talking about this film right now. Look at the wigs.
I did like the makeup.
And then even in Belle... Belle, Beauty and the Beast 2017. 2017. There's our girl. All right, let's see.
Like I said, I liked her actual, the Belle look, the iconic Belle look.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that.
I agree.
Was her hood always red? I thought it was blue.
No. When she's with the Beast, you mean, and it's cold. No, it's always been that pink color.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it was just like too bright red that it was throwing me off.
Let me find a good. Look, these are great costumes. These are great costumes. Hang on.
Oh, you know what? I'll give you it.
Let's get back to a big...
Now that I'm seeing them again.
Look, these are beautiful costumes. Beautiful colors. They're all very detailed. This is great. I will not allow any costume slander for this movie.
You know what? I'll take it back. I'll beat myself up. You're right. Now that I'm seeing it again.
Thank you. That is the one piece I'll fight you on. Anyway...
I guess I was too focused on the story that I wasn't truly looking at the costumes.
That's fair. The nominees, okay, so they did get nominated for Best Achievement in Costume Design and Best Achievement in Production Design for the Oscars. For the BAFTA's Best Costume Design and Best Production Design nominees, AARP, again, nominee Reader's Choice. Okay, for the Saturn Awards, I don't know what those are. They did win Best Costume Design.
It gets into awards of it's just the award circuit, and I don't know them all. But
I don't know them all either. But
there's like 20 award shows that happened before the.
But I'm glad that I'm seeing a lot of this is a lot of their nominations and winnings came from best makeup and best hairstyling, best costume. Yeah. And
when truly focusing on it, you're right. It is actually very good. Again, I was more focused on the story as someone who hasn't seen this before.
Now, what I want to know is... I
can only look at so much at once.
The new songs that they wrote, Evermore.
Evermore?
I want to see who wrote that.
Edgar Allan Poe.
Shut the heck up.
Oh, that's Nevermore.
Taylor Swift, bro.
Taylor Swift wrote that? That's her own song.
It's because she has an album called Evermore.
I was about to say, I was like, what? I feel like that would have been talked about way more.
Let's see. Tim Rice. Okay, Evermore was written by composer Alan Menken, who worked on the original. Okay, that makes sense. Lyricist Tim Rice. Okay, I was wondering because Alan Menken, do you know who that is?
Nope.
Okay, Alan Menken wrote a lot of the music for a lot of the Disney films. He's an amazing composer. And
I wonder if it was like a time thing, like going to the animated. I wonder if it was like a time and animation thing where they just didn't put it in because it felt like it fit really well.
Well, no,
to a point that I didn't even notice.
I don't think that was on the table for the original one. I think that was newly written. But what I'm saying is some of these live action films brought Alan Menken back for the additional song.
I mean, they should.
And some of them didn't. And I think it's obvious which ones did what. This one was good, so I thought Alan Menken probably came back for it, and sure enough, he did. And he's so good. His music just like hits my soul. He did Hunchback, but he did a lot of other stuff too. But so yes, he was the one. He composed Evermore, and I bet that's why I like it. That's why it makes sense. And I bet if I look up Aladdin silent composer, I bet it will not say Alan Menken.
What if it does?
Speechless, that's what it's called. I won't be there.
If it does, are you gonna feel bad? Oh no.
Oh god. Okay, wait. Written by Tony and Oscar winners Benj Pasek and Justin Paul. Those are the people I think that did Greatest Showman. I might be wrong about that, and that's going to be really embarrassing.
As a theater kid.
In collaboration with original Aladdin composer Alan Menken.
Okay, so it was in collaboration.
Yeah, I feel like... Alan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like he probably wasn't as involved on this one, just because it didn't... I feel like I know him. I feel like I know his music. You know what I mean? But anyway, yeah, because that song, that makes sense because these people, Benj Pasek and Justin Paul, I feel like they are Yeah, they did Greatest Showman. Okay, and that makes sense to me because that song, Speechless from Aladdin, sounds like those two guys. It doesn't sound as much like Alan Menken. So that okay, all the pieces, they're coming together. But let me tell you what other shows Alan Menken did. Just so I can get your brain. Look, there he is.
Did you
Happy
Jungle Book?
Man. Disney movies. Let's see. I doubt he did Jungle Book, but let's see. He did... Okay. Composed music for Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Pocahontas, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Hercules, Home on the Range, Enchanted, and Tangled. He's incredible.
Love you. A lot of movies that I really do like.
Yeah. He's incredible. He really is. And inevitably, I will make you watch The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Anyway, let me see. Let me check my notes to see if there's anything else.
Anything else?
I did say I want to wear all of the outfits in this movie. I also want to live in a castle.
This castle's so big.
Oh, I just kind of noted, not important, but I just kind of talked about how teeny tiny the little library was in her small town. It's not even like a library, like it's literally just like one row of. Anyway, it's literally like just one little row of books.
Unless no one can read, you know.
Well, none of the women.
The education system has really fallen down.
You know, that's something I don't know what it is in the animated film. You'll have to remind me. I think it's the same. In the animated film, he can't read.
Who?
The Beast.
I thought he could.
I don't think he can. He can't in the musical. In the musical, she teaches him to read. And I feel like I remember that being true in the animated version. Like, she is helping him sound things out.
I actually can't remember if that's
I don't think he can read.
Interesting.
Beast learns to read. Why aren't we speaking in all-French accents?
Beast to read?
Okay, let's see. He doesn't know how to read. Yeah, he doesn't know how to read. Which they changed for this. And that, you know, I think is more argument for maybe they were trying to make this more realistic because he says, like, I had a very expensive education, which, like, makes sense. I don't know why he wouldn't be able to read.
Yeah, I feel like as a prince, he'd be able to read.
He would be able to read. So I think that's something that they asked us to suspend our disbelief for in the animated film, but here they were like, no, he would definitely be able to read.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I never even noticed that or remember that, if anything.
I cry a lot during musicals is what I wrote. Yeah, that's really all I had. I really like this film, and I'm glad you saw it so you could at least see it. Now I'm interested to see if you start to see the other live actions, if your opinion of this one will maybe not necessarily change, but maybe if your like appreciation for this one will grow, because I did not. The other live actions I thought were like bad.
Yeah, I mean that's what I've heard. It's like they've never people talk about like Disney doing this whole remaking their movies in live action. Yeah. It's like they need to kind of just stop because it's not working.
Not all of them are panning out. Who would you have cast as Belle if not Emma Watson?
Well, I can't pick singers, but I did like Emma Watson as Belle. I feel like she had the face, you know, for Belle.
It was almost, Emma Watson is so beautiful and like so perfect that it's almost distracting when you're watching this film. And I don't say that as a con. Yeah. I don't say that to be like she shouldn't have been this character. Really, it's just a compliment to how beautiful Emma Watson is. Like, she is so nice to look at that it's almost difficult to watch the film because it's just like you are so perfectly crafted.
Interesting.
What do you mean? Whatever.
No.
I'm so sorry to everyone. We can never get his perspective on this because unfortunately he can't even see Emma Watson. When he sees the screen, it's just the dress, just like moving
it's just
around.
The dress that I care about.
Yeah.
No, the whole movie.
So sad for you.
The whole beginning of the movie, they're talking about how great she is and how like her name is literally beauty.
Well, there's no wonder that her name means beauty.
Exactly. So it's like I thought she was like she was Belle, you know?
Yeah,
the singing, you know,
for sure.
Okay, like, she had her, you know, mishaps, but I thought she was, like, perfect. Yeah. I thought Emma Watson herself, like, fit that role.
I agree.
Perfectly.
Big agree.
I feel like that's all we had to say, unless you have anything else.
I don't think so. I think that's it.
Awesome. Then definitely thank y'all for joining us. Follow us, if you want to follow our personal accounts. My name is MER_RIO on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Kristen's is...
I'm at Kristen Hosty, KristenHosty.
Yeah, it was fun. Again, expectations are high for me because I really like this movie.
Is this your favorite Disney film?
It's one of.
Okay.
I don't think it's like my favorite, but it's
high up there.
It's pretty high up there. Like as a classic Disney film.
For sure.
We're coming close to the end of the season also.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I think we only have
a couple more
3 more episodes
to record.
3 or 4. Wait, what is it?
No, definitely not 4. How many did we... Why is there such a large space between your fingers?
Long hand. Big hand. Oh no. Now she's calling me. So we did Clue. We did Ocean's 11. We did Ocean's 8. We did...
Okay, wait. No, go in order because we're going to trip ourselves up.
Ocean's 11.
No.
Ocean's 11's first.
No, it was not.
Yes, it was.
The Adam Sandler.
Oh, you're right. I forgot about that one. Longest Yard, Ocean's 11. Clue.
Ocean's 8.
Ocean's 8. And then, this is
There's
5.
only been 5?
And now we have 3 more.
I thought that we did more.
No, we've only done 5. And we're very close to the end of season 1.
Wow.
That's kind of crazy.
Crazy.
We're right around the corner.
We've been talking about this since 2020 when I was still in my parents' house during the pandemic. We've the origins of this. They go so deep.
So close.
The lore of Clued and Clueless.
But thank y'all for joining us. We'll see y'all for 3 more episodes and then we'll talk about that when we get on the last episode.
Yep.
But for now, catch y'all later.
Bye, guys. Talk to you next week. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of Clued and Clueless. If you'd like to follow us, you can follow us on Twitter at Clued_Clueless, on Instagram at Clued and Clueless Podcast, on TikTok at Clued and Clueless Pod, and on YouTube at Clued and Clueless. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.